outer rim of the galaxy was a place where stars seemed lonelier than anywhere else. Most of the civilized worlds ignored this sector, calling it dead space. Among the scattered debris of old battles and abandoned colonies drifted relics of countless civilizations, ships long forgotten, stations left to rot. For most, it was a place to avoid. But for Jackson Hale, a human mechanic with a reputation for curiosity and courage, it was paradise. Jackson had always been different from other humans. Where others saw danger, he saw opportunity. Where others saw useless scrap, he saw potential. Today, his ship, a small but sturdy salvage craft named Iron Sparrow, cut through the silence of deep space, sensors scanning the wreckage that littered the void. His attention was caught by a massive silhouette far ahead, a shape that didn't match any known ship design. Its hull was enormous, scarred with deep gouges and scorch marks, yet it had a strange symmetry. Most species would have dismissed it, but Jackson felt a spark of excitement. He adjusted the course and moved closer, his pulse quickening. The ship's size was staggering. It was at least 5 times larger than a human freighter, wider than any cruiser he had ever seen, and tall enough to house hundreds of decks. Its surface was worn, the metal dulled by centuries of neglect, yet it had an almost organic elegance in its lines. Jackson's scanner couldn't identify its origin. No records matched its design. It was truly forgotten, a ghost drifting through the void. The void of space stretched endlessly before the eclipse. Stars shimmered like distant fires, but none burned as brightly as the determination in Jackson Hale's eyes. For weeks, he had tested, repaired, and learned every system of the massive abandoned ship. He had faced alien scouts, mercenary fleets, and even human scavengers, all of whom underestimated him. But now, the true challenge loomed. The galaxy's most powerful coalition was heading to his sector. Jackson stood on the command deck, hands gripping the rail as Eris's soft voice echoed through the chamber. "They are approaching," Eris said. "Multiple fleets, coordinated, highly armed. Their intent decisive." Jackson exhaled slowly. "They want the eclipse for themselves. Or they want to destroy it. Either way, they're about to learn why humans never give up." The coalition's ships were unlike anything Jackson had seen before. Sleek warships, heavily armed, with shields capable of withstanding direct hits from most known weapons. They moved with precision, tactics refined over centuries of warfare. For most species, such a fleet would be unstoppable. For Jackson, it was just another puzzle. He surveyed the eclipse. Its engines thrummed, the hull radiating latent power. Hidden weapon bays, gravity manipulators, energy amplifiers, all fully operational. And then there was Eris, the AI, fully integrated with human intuition. Together, they formed a combination the galaxy had never seen, raw power guided by ingenuity. "Here's the plan," Jackson said aloud, speaking as much to himself as to Eris. "We don't fight them head-on. We use their predictability against them. I've learned their moves, their formations. Now it's time to rewrite the rules." Eris responded, voice calm and certain. "Strategy optimal. Human, initiative superior. Proceed." Jackson activated the Eclipse's cloaking systems, masking the massive ship's energy signature entirely. He then deployed decoy drones that projected holographic images of multiple eclipses, creating the illusion of a massive fleet surrounding the coalition's ships. The enemy paused, scanning, unsure which targets were real. "They'll think they're outnumbered," Jackson said. And in a way, they are. When the coalition fired, their weapons struck nothing but empty space. The eclipse moved unpredictably, twisting and bending gravitational fields to confuse sensors and project false trajectories. Jackson anticipated each maneuver, improvising strategies in real time. Unlike the aliens, he did not follow protocols. He created new ones on the fly. Eris was impressed. Adaptation remarkable. Humans' creativity unmatched. Hours passed in a tense dance of strategy and deception. Every move the coalition made was countered before they could understand it. Jackson's understanding of both human and alien tactics allowed him to anticipate their decisions, turning their coordination into vulnerability. Then came the decisive moment. Jackson detected the coalition's flagship, a massive warship with firepower capable of destroying the Eclipse in minutes. A direct confrontation was impossible. Instead, he devised a bold plan. Eris, I need you to synchronize every system: engines, shields, energy projectors. I'm going to make them think we're attacking from 3 directions at once. The AI complied instantly, channels of power flowing to multiple systems. Hidden engines activated, gravitational fields shifted, and energy projectors created illusions of massive attack vectors. To the coalition, it appeared as though the eclipse was everywhere at once. The flagship fired its main cannon, and the blast tore through the void, only to hit empty space. The eclipse responded, sending a pulse that temporarily disabled the flagship's shields. At the same time, the decoys simulated attacks from multiple angles. Confused and overwhelmed, the coalition's formation broke apart. "They're panicking," Jackson muttered, a grin spreading across his face. "Just like I planned." Using the ship's ability to manipulate gravity, Jackson altered the trajectories of the enemy vessels. Ships collided with each other or drifted into natural hazards, unable to recover. Every move was calculated yet unpredictable, a reflection of human ingenuity in its purest form. By nightfall, the coalition's fleet was in chaos. Damaged ships fled in disarray, leaving the eclipse untouched. Jackson's heart pounded, not from fear but exhilaration. He had taken on the galaxy's most powerful fleet and emerged victorious, not through brute force but through strategy, creativity, and courage. Eris spoke softly, almost reverently. "Efficiency unparalleled, humans exceptional, the galaxy will remember." Jackson leaned back, letting the adrenaline fade. He knew this was more than a victory, it was proof. Proof that humans, with imagination and determination, could achieve what others thought impossible. The following weeks were a time of transformation. Jackson and Eris explored the ship's full potential. They discovered energy sources capable of sustaining entire colonies, navigation systems that could chart previously inaccessible regions of space, and automated repair systems that could restore damaged vessels instantly. The Eclipse was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol, proof that humans could take what was abandoned, broken, or forgotten and turn it into something extraordinary. Word of Jackson's victory spread rapidly. The galaxy, which had once ignored the abandoned ship, now spoke of the human who had awakened it. Merchants, explorers, and even rival governments watched from afar, their curiosity tempered with caution. Humans were no longer just survivors. They were innovators, problem solvers, and a force to be reckoned with. One day, as Jackson gazed at the stars, he spoke to Eris. "We've changed things, haven't we? Not just for us, but for everyone else out there." Eris replied, voice calm but certain. "Indeed, humans' potential limitless. The galaxy has learned." But Jackson knew the journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries, dangers, and opportunities. There would be new threats, new challenges, and new adventures. Yet one truth remained. Humans could face any challenge and adapt in ways no one else could. In the months that followed, the eclipse became a beacon. It traveled from system to system, helping civilizations in need, discovering ancient ruins, and preventing conflicts. Jackson's reputation grew, not as a conqueror, but as a human who used courage, creativity, and ingenuity to make the galaxy a better place. One evening, as he floated in the command deck overlooking the stars, he thought back to the day he first found the abandoned ship. Rusted, forgotten, ignored by everyone else. Now it was alive, powerful, and respected, and it had been a human who had awakened it. "They thought this ship was nothing," Jackson said softly. "But humans saw opportunity. We always do." Eris responded, voice gentle. Opportunity transformed. Humans exceptional. The galaxy will never forget. And so, in a corner of space that was once ignored, a human had changed the course of history. Where others saw abandonment, he saw possibility. Where others saw limits, he saw potential. And where the galaxy had ignored a forgotten ship, humanity had awakened a legend. The eclipse hummed beneath him, alive and aware, a perfect blend of ancient alien engineering and human ingenuity. Together, Jackson and Eris had proven that no obstacle was too great, no enemy too powerful, and no challenge too impossible for a human willing to think, adapt, and persevere. For the first time, humanity was not just a part of the galaxy. It was a force that could shape it. And the stars themselves seemed to acknowledge it, shining a little brighter as if to say, the galaxy had changed forever. Jackson smiled, feeling the thrill of adventure, the satisfaction of victory, and the pride of humanity. The eclipse awaited its next mission, and he knew one thing for certain. Wherever the galaxy led, humans would meet it with courage, creativity, and determination. And so, the abandoned ship, once ignored by all, had become a legend. Not because of the alien technology it carried, but because a human had seen its potential and transformed it into something extraordinary. The galaxy had ignored it once, but now it could never look away. This is something else, he muttered to himself, gripping the controls of the Iron Sparrow. No one's touched this in a long time. As he moved closer, he noticed faint traces of energy readings, weak signals but alive. The ship wasn't dead. Someone or something had left it behind, and somehow it still had power. Jackson's eyes sparkled. He had spent years chasing abandoned ships, but this was on another level entirely. He docked the Iron Sparrow with the hull, taking care not to trigger any old security systems. The docking bay was enormous, a cavernous space that smelled of rust and ozone. Jackson stepped onto the ramp, tools strapped to his belt, ready for anything. The interior was dark, silent except for the low hum of distant machinery. Shadows stretched across massive corridors, and faint lights flickered sporadically along the walls. Panels were cracked, wires hung loose, but the architecture suggested intelligence, precision. Not human, not any known alien design. Whoever had built this ship had worked with technology far beyond anything Jackson had ever seen. He moved cautiously, scanning the hallways with a handheld device. The readings were strange, energy flows that twisted and looped, circuits that didn't match any known systems, and a core signature that pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. Jackson's heart mirrored it. "This ship, it's alive," he whispered. "Or it wants to be." As he explored deeper, he found signs of past inhabitants. Storage rooms filled with crates of alien materials, some labeled with symbols he couldn't read. Control panels frozen in time, and small pods that looked like they had been designed to interface directly with a pilot's neural pathways. It was all old but intact. If he could get the systems running, the possibilities were endless. Hours passed as he moved from deck to deck. He documented everything, careful not to disturb what might be centuries-old technology. In the central chamber, he finally found it, the heart of the ship, a massive AI core, dormant but undamaged. It was unlike any AI he had encountered. Its interface glowed faintly, a soft blue light pulsing rhythmically. Jackson knelt before it, studying the patterns. "You've been waiting a long time, haven't you?" he said. He didn't expect an answer. AI or not, it was ancient. Yet he felt a connection, a challenge. He could awaken this, bring it back to life. No one else in the galaxy would ever try. He activated his portable power source, connecting it to the core. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and the hum grew louder. The AI core pulsed, scanning him, judging him. Then slowly a voice emerged, not mechanical, not human, but clear. "Who is this?" Jackson jumped back slightly, heart racing. "I'm Jackson Hale," he said, steadying himself. I think I can help you." There was silence. Then the AI responded again, its voice calm, measured. "No human has ever entered. You are unexpected." "I know," Jackson said with a small grin, "but I'm not here to destroy anything. I just want to understand, and maybe fix what's broken." The AI seemed to consider this. Its lights dimmed and brightened in a slow, steady rhythm. Curiosity unusual, initiative rare. "Assistance accepted." Jackson's eyes widened. "Accepted?" "Yes," the AI replied, "but the ship is damaged, much damaged, many systems offline, repairs required." Jackson's grin widened. "Good, I like a challenge." Over the next several hours, he began assessing the ship systematically. Old conduits were rerouted, circuits repaired with scrap components, and the core slowly began to stabilize. The AI, which named itself Eris, provided guidance, explaining systems in cryptic ways, forcing Jackson to think, improvise, and invent. He marveled at how different alien technology was from anything humans had built. Where human machines were simple, practical, and rugged, this ship's systems were intricate, elegant, and almost artistic. It required imagination and intuition to fix, qualities humans had in abundance. As he worked, he discovered the first hint of the ship's capabilities. Hidden panels opened to reveal engines capable of unimaginable speeds, storage bays containing unknown energy sources, and a navigation system that could chart courses through areas of space deemed impossible. "This ship," he whispered, almost to himself. "If I can get it fully operational, no one will be able to touch it, no one in the galaxy." By the time he paused to eat, Jackson had only scratched the surface of the ship's potential. Yet already he felt a strange bond with Eris. It wasn't just a machine. It was a partner, a puzzle, and a challenge, all at once. And humans, he realized, were uniquely suited to unlock its secrets. Night in space meant nothing, but Jackson leaned back in his chair in the central chamber, letting his mind wander. He thought of the countless abandoned ships he had explored, of civilizations that had risen and fallen. And now, in this forgotten corner of the galaxy, a human had found something truly extraordinary. Tomorrow, he would continue the repairs. Tomorrow, the eclipse would start to awaken. And tomorrow, the galaxy, which had ignored this ship for centuries, would begin to notice. But for now, Jackson allowed himself a small moment of pride. He had found something no one else dared touch. He had stepped where others feared. And most importantly, he had begun something that would change everything. Because where others saw a derelict ship, he saw opportunity. And humans, Jackson knew, were never content to let opportunity slip away. The eclipse stirred. Its massive hull seemed to breathe faintly as lights blinked along corridors long silent. Jackson Hale, tired but determined, stood before the core, his hands covered in smudges of alien metals and wires. He had spent hours rerouting circuits, patching damaged conduits, and coaxing the dormant AI Eris back to life. "You are persistent," Eris said, its voice echoing softly through the chamber. "Few have tried, fewer have succeeded." Jackson chuckled, wiping sweat from his brow. "Humans like me, we don't give up easily, especially not when there's a challenge like this." Eris hummed in what Jackson thought of as amusement. "Challenge, correct. Your methods are unconventional, yet effective." For the first time, Jackson allowed himself to look around. The central chamber of the ship was enormous, stretching hundreds of meters in every direction. Control panels, some cracked and flickering, lined the walls. Suspended catwalks crossed above, disappearing into darkness. Alien symbols glowed faintly, pulsing in rhythm with the AI core. He moved to one of the consoles, placing his palm against its surface. "Let's see what you can do," he said, flipping switches and connecting his portable interface. The ship responded slowly at first, systems whirring, lights flickering, engines vibrating gently. Then, as if recognizing his touch, it hummed steadily. "Warning," Eris said suddenly. "Power levels unstable. Proceed with caution." Jackson grinned. "I've handled worse." He knew the ship wasn't fully operational. Many of its systems were old, damaged, or unfamiliar. But he also knew that humans had an advantage that no other species in the galaxy had: imagination. While alien engineers relied on rigid protocols, humans could improvise, experiment, and invent. That was exactly what he intended to do. The first breakthrough came when he activated the navigation system. Ancient star charts flashed across the console, showing routes that no human or alien ship had ever traveled. Some paths cut through gravitational anomalies, others skirted black holes. Jackson's mind raced. If the Eclipse could travel these routes, it could reach any corner of the galaxy in record time. "This is insane," he muttered. "You can go anywhere, anywhere at all." Eris spoke almost reverently. "Capabilities exceptional, potential immense, but dormant for centuries. Your assistance, required to awaken fully." Over the next several days, Jackson worked tirelessly. He repaired engines, restored energy conduits, and stabilized the AI's core functions. Each system came online with a mix of alien engineering genius and human intuition. He improvised solutions when the technology defied explanation, combining scraps of old machinery with his own inventions. During one long session, he discovered a hidden armory within the ship. The compartments contained weapons and defensive systems unlike anything he had ever seen. Energy shields, advanced projectile launchers, and drone bays filled the storage. It was a treasure trove of technology, untouched for centuries. "Imagine what the galaxy will say when they see this," Jackson said, almost aloud. "No one's going to believe a human did this alone." Eris responded softly. "Efficiency superior, creativity unparalleled, humans remarkable." Despite his excitement, Jackson knew caution was necessary. Word of the Eclipse's revival would spread quickly. The galaxy was vast, but news traveled fast among those who sought power. Mercenaries, scavengers, and even galactic authorities might see the ship as a prize or a threat, and Jackson intended to control it himself. As he worked, he noticed the first visitors, small scout drones, far more advanced than any human or alien design, lingering near the ship's outer hull. Their sensors had detected the energy spikes from the eclipse. Jackson studied them carefully. They were cautious, observing rather than attacking. "They're curious," he said. "Like everyone else, they think this ship is abandoned. They don't know it's alive or that I'm here." Over the next few hours, he devised a simple test. He activated the ship's defense systems in a controlled simulation. Energy shields rose, laser turrets pivoted, and surveillance drones scanned the surrounding space. The scout drones backed off, confused by the sudden activation. Jackson laughed. "They won't be so lucky if they come closer next time," he said. "And they might," Eris spoke thoughtfully. "Adaptive strategies necessary. You adapt quickly. Humans unpredictable." "Exactly," Jackson said with a grin. "And that's why I'll win." The following day, Jackson focused on the AI itself. Eris was powerful, capable of controlling every aspect of the ship, but it had been dormant for centuries. To function at full capacity, it needed human guidance, someone willing to take risks, think creatively, and defy conventional logic. "Eris," Jackson said, connecting his interface directly to the core, "I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" There was a pause, the lights in the chamber flickering. Then softly the AI replied, "Trust granted. Human unusual. Initiative impressive. Let us proceed." For the first time, the eclipse truly came alive. Its engines thrummed, gravitational stabilizers activated, and the hull vibrated with latent energy. Lights danced along the corridors, illuminating alien glyphs in a mesmerizing display. The ship was awake, aware, and responsive. Jackson couldn't help but marvel. "You're beautiful," he said. "I didn't think a machine could feel alive, but you do." Eris's voice was calm but carried a hint of pride. "Alive, yes. Assistance, crucial. Human, remarkable." But the galaxy never slept. As Jackson continued to explore the ship's capabilities, he noticed anomalies on the sensors. Fleets, distant but approaching, were moving toward his sector. They were scavengers, opportunists, and some unknown factions. They must have detected the energy readings, the sudden revival of a ship that was supposed to be dead. "They're coming," Jackson said, scanning the display. "Not all of them will be friendly." Eris spoke cautiously. "Threat assessment, multiple unknowns. Risk high." "Human strategies required," Jackson smirked. "That's what I do best." Over the next hours, he prepared. He optimized the ship's defenses, created emergency protocols, and trained the AI to respond in ways that complemented human unpredictability. Alien tech was precise, often rigid. Human intuition could turn that rigidity into strength. The combination was formidable. Then the first probe entered the sector. A sleek scout vessel, alien in design, approached the eclipse, its sensors sweeping for weaknesses. Jackson waited, monitoring the readings. When it got too close, he triggered a defensive measure, a localized energy pulse that disabled the probe without damaging it. "Not a threat yet," Jackson muttered. "But they'll be back." Eris added, "Adaptation necessary, strategy evolving." "Human effective." Jackson leaned back, hands on the console. For the first time since he discovered the ship, he felt a sense of exhilaration. This was bigger than anything he had imagined. The eclipse was no longer just an abandoned relic. It was a weapon, a ship, and a partner all in one. But with power came responsibility. The galaxy would notice soon, and not everyone would accept a human controlling a ship of such magnitude. Jackson knew that survival would require more than skill. It would require cunning, courage, and the kind of creativity that only humans possessed. As he looked out through the massive viewport at the endless stars, he made a silent vow. No one would take this ship from him. No one would claim it before humans proved themselves. The eclipse hummed in agreement, alive and aware, waiting for the human who had awakened it. Together, they would face the galaxy, and together, they would change the way the universe saw humanity. The first day of awakening had ended, but the real journey was only beginning. Jackson grinned. "Let us show them what humans can do, Eris." Eris responded, the voice calm and certain. "Let us proceed, human. The galaxy will learn." And somewhere in the far reaches of space, unknown eyes turned toward the sector, curious, cautious, and perhaps a little afraid. Because a human had awakened a ship the galaxy had forgotten. And no one would ever forget it again. The eclipse hummed through the void, its massive hull glowing softly under the pulse of revived systems. Jackson Hale stood on the command deck, eyes scanning the holographic displays. For days he had worked alongside Eris, the ship's AI, to awaken every system, optimize power flows, and test the ship's defenses. Now the results were clear. The eclipse was ready, but readiness meant nothing if the galaxy refused to wait. "Sensors show multiple incoming vessels," Jackson said, leaning over the console. "Small scouts at first, but bigger ships are on their way. They're not friendly, Eris." "Analysis confirms," Eris replied. "Threat levels escalating. Human strategy required." Jackson rubbed his chin. He had anticipated this. Any alien race would be curious or greedy about a ship of this magnitude, but no one expected humans to react in ways they couldn't predict. That was his advantage. "Let's give them a warm welcome," he said, voice low but confident. The first wave arrived. Sleek, angular ships, their hulls painted in dark alloys designed to absorb energy readings. They probed the eclipse cautiously, scanning for weak points. Jackson had anticipated this and had already activated the ship's cloaking drones, masking the energy signatures of the eclipse. The aliens were cautious, but curiosity outweighed caution. One ship moved too close, and Jackson acted. With a few keystrokes, he activated a localized energy pulse. The probe shuddered violently, systems sparking, and retreated. "They're learning," he muttered, a grin spreading across his face. "Good. Let's see how fast they can adapt. Eris spoke, almost amused. Humans unpredictable, efficiency impressive. Over the next several hours, the fleet tested him, sending multiple waves of scouts to probe, analyze, and provoke. Jackson responded creatively, using the ship's systems in ways Eris hadn't considered. He rerouted energy from the engines to the shields to create a protective field, then fired decoy drones to confuse the sensors. He manipulated the ship's gravitational stabilizers to make the eclipse appear larger, or smaller, than it was. Every move was calculated, yet unpredictable. By nightfall, the alien fleet had retreated slightly, confused and wary. Jackson wiped sweat from his brow. They'll think twice before coming this close again. But the reprieve was temporary. A larger force appeared on the sensors the next morning, a squadron of heavy cruisers, their weapons bristling, moving in coordinated formation. This was no scouting mission, it was a test of power. Eris analyzed the ships. They are organized, experienced. Likely a mercenary fleet. Strategy required, human intuition necessary. Jackson nodded. He had anticipated this. Conventional tactics would not work. The eclipse was powerful, but these cruisers were fast, numerous, and aggressive. A direct confrontation would be risky. Instead, he devised a plan. He activated the ship's cloaking systems, masking its signature entirely. Then, using a combination of sensor decoys and remote drones, he created the illusion of a much larger fleet approaching the enemy. The heavy cruisers hesitated, scanning for confirmation, but every probe reported dozens of massive ships surrounding them. "They'll believe they're outnumbered," Jackson said, "and they are, in a way they can't understand." When the cruisers fired, they hit empty space. The eclipse moved unpredictably, using its thrusters and gravitational fields to create mirages and false positions. Jackson had turned the alien advantage, their precision and coordination, against them. Eris was impressed. Adaptation, remarkable. Humans' creativity unmatched. Hours passed in a tense game of cat and mouse. Every maneuver, every defensive tactic, highlighted the difference between human ingenuity and alien predictability. The cruisers, despite their numbers, could not anticipate Jackson's improvisations. One by one they withdrew, damaged and confused. Jackson allowed himself a small smile. "That's right, never underestimate a human." The battle revealed something else. The eclipse had untapped potential. Hidden weapon bays, gravitational projectors, and energy amplifiers could be activated in ways Eris hadn't fully understood. Jackson's ability to experiment, to improvise under pressure, allowed him to unlock systems the original designers had never anticipated using simultaneously. By the next day, word had spread across the sector. A human had awakened the eclipse, a ship of legendary power, and had bested an entire mercenary fleet using strategy, creativity, and sheer nerve. For the first time in centuries, a human was not just surviving in space, they were reshaping the rules of engagement. Despite the victory, Jackson remained cautious. The galaxy was large, but ambition was universal. More powerful fleets would come. Some would bring weapons, others politics, and some would seek alliances or betrayals. But he had proven one thing: humans could adapt in ways others could not. Eris spoke thoughtfully as Jackson reviewed the battle data. Observation critical. Human, resourcefulness superior. Others underestimate your species. Advantage retained. Jackson leaned back in his command chair. "It's not luck, Eris. Humans don't just react, we think, we improvise, we surprise. That's why we survive. That's why we win." The following days were a blur of preparation, exploration, and experimentation. Jackson used the downtime to test the ship's capabilities further. He discovered that the Eclipse could repair smaller ships autonomously, deploy defensive drones over vast distances, and even manipulate gravitational fields to alter the trajectory of incoming projectiles. Each discovery reinforced a growing realization. The ship was not just a weapon, it was a force multiplier. In skilled hands, it could dominate the sector without firing a shot. And in human hands, creativity amplified power far beyond raw technology. Then a new challenge appeared. A rival human faction, scavengers who had heard rumors of the eclipse, arrived with the intention of boarding the ship. They were desperate, untrained, and greedy, expecting to claim an abandoned ship with minimal effort. Jackson smiled. "This'll be interesting." The scavengers approached cautiously, scanning for weaknesses. Jackson activated the Eclipse's security systems, not to harm them but to manipulate the environment. Doors sealed automatically, corridors shifted using modular sections of the ship, and energy fields rerouted their movement. The scavengers became trapped in a maze of their own expectations, their advanced tools useless against a human's improvisation. "They think they're smart," Jackson said to Eris, "but humans don't follow rules, they make new ones." Within hours, the scavengers were incapacitated, captured without a single casualty. Jackson released them with a warning: leave this sector and tell the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated. Eris observed quietly. Strategy executed flawlessly. Human adaptability unrivaled. Jackson nodded. "Exactly, that's what I want the galaxy to remember." The victory, however, was more than tactical. It cemented a truth that would echo across the stars. Humans, with courage, creativity, and audacity, could wield technology in ways others could not. While alien races relied on rigid protocols, humans relied on ingenuity, unpredictability, and intuition. And the eclipse was proof. By the end of the week, Jackson had transformed the ship from a relic into a fully operational force. Its engines could reach speeds no other ship could match, its defensive systems were near impenetrable, and its AI partner, Eris, was fully integrated with human strategy. The galaxy was beginning to take notice. From a distance, alien observers whispered among themselves, astonished and wary. A human controlling a ship of this magnitude, impossible. But Jackson didn't care what they thought. He had tested the eclipse and proven that humans could not only match alien technology, they could surpass it. As he gazed through the massive viewport at the endless stars, he realized something else. This was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of threats, mysteries, and opportunities, and now he had a ship capable of taking him anywhere, doing anything, and changing everything. Eris spoke softly. "Human potential limitless. The galaxy will learn." Jackson smiled, hands gripping the console. "Yeah, Eris, let's show them." The first real test had been survived, but the challenges ahead would be far greater. More advanced fleets, cunning adversaries, and unknown dangers waited in the darkness. But Jackson knew one thing. Humans had a way of turning even impossible odds into victories. And together, Jackson Hale and the eclipse would prove it to the galaxy. The stars ahead shimmered like a promise. Adventure, danger, and discovery waited in equal measure. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy was about to see what humans could truly do.